vineyard and really cares about wine and does something that's special, a little bit unique. Works from higher elevation vineyards, and so you get really special, interesting characteristics from those wines. Hi, John. Welcome to the tasting room.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
I am delighted that you're here. We're going to go right into the tasting. You know, why pause when you have good wine in front of you?
Well, let's go.
And you have really unique names for your wines. The first one is Forbidden. It is a Sauvignon Blanc. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yes, it's 2014 vintage. The fruit comes from the Dutton Ranch. It's a small 2-acre plot. The vine's about 30 years old. It's a very cold growing area for them, and we're the only ones that take fruit from that plot. It's called the Chabs Block Vineyard. Every year producing these amazing qualities of the Sauvignon Blanc that we produce. I always tell the story that how did this come about and why the name? I believe, due to the fragrance and the tropical characteristics of this particular fruit and wine, that this might have been what Eve gave Adam in the Garden of Eden, not an apple.
Yeah, Eve and Adam were hanging out in the Russian River Valley for sure.
So that's what this is.
Well, when I smell this, it's very crisp, very creamy. It's got some succulence to it. It's got that Russian River character to it. Oh. It's got sort of a little bit of a lemon lime character with a little bit, the gooseberry behind it, which is typical of Sauvignon Blanc. It's got a freshness on the palate and a savoriness that's really special. Lovely wine, John.
Thank you. I'm particularly pleased with this because it has a very long finish, and the first contact, especially with people who don't like Sauvignon Blanc, who have never experienced one, they're always amazed at, oh my goodness, what is this? Very food friendly.
Great. Thank you so much.
Really great buy.
Very, very succulent. Okay, onward. We have the next one that you make. It's a Cloud's Rest, we call it a lure. It's a Chardonnay. And so where's the vineyard and how do you make it? Is it spend time in oak?
Yes. Allure from the French. A lot of our names refer back to the French culture and winemaking. If it wasn't for them in the last several hundred years of their winemaking experience, I don't think we would have a wine culture in California or anywhere else.
The Italians might have a little argument with that, but still, French have been important.
Right. So we do like to give a nod towards the French culture, and many people consider our wines to be made somewhat in the French style, Burgundian or Bordeaux. However, our style really is to take the fruit as it comes to us. We don't add to it or detract from it. We just age it and take very good care of it in the most minimalist style. Our winemaker, Tony Austin, believes in less is more, and whatever the vineyard gives you is really what you're going to get. So the wine is made in the vineyard rather than for any other.
Is this barrel fermented, stainless steel fermented?
Yes, it is. It's barrel fermented.
And what kind of barrels are you using?
We use French.
And French, okay.
Tonneries.
It's got a very pretty Chardonnay character. It's got a little bit of butterscotch associated with it, probably associated with those Cerruti barrels. Very, very nicely done. Reserve Chardonnay, obviously Sonoma Coast, and Sonoma Coast is
It's actually Petaluma Gap as well.
Petaluma Gap. Oh, wow.
So this was a small
like
family-owned vineyard. Yeah, tread lightly on the Italians because they're the owners of this property. But they have had this for a long, long time. And they have given it over to us to use, and it's just a very special vineyard, and it has a beautiful clone that year after year after year, this is what we get.
Lovely. Okay, now we're going to real wine, as I like to say, because we're actually going to the wine with color. John, may I pour you some Pinot Noir?
That's my favorite.
Okay. This is your baby, I think. This is up at Cloud's Rest.
Yes.
This is Cloud's Rest Vineyard, 2013, Sonoma Coast, 100% estate-grown Pinot Noir. You have one of those densely planted vineyards, don't you?
Yes. This was my concept, and an argument that I won with many wine knowledgeable people and friends. So the property itself is 5.2 acres. 2.6 acres of dirt are planted with 12,000 Pinot Noir vines.
There's a lot of vines, by the way, for an acre.
It is, and they're 3 feet by 3 feet is the planting style. And so they compete, which I discovered early on is one of the driving forces for making great Pinot. I planted these in February in 2000, and in 2 months they were up a foot tall and never looked backwards since.
Fantastic. And
So
it's a cool site. You get a lot of cool air that flows through this site?
We do. We were the Petaluma Gap before there was a Petaluma Gap. So we're up at 1,300 feet elevation. We face the ocean and south. And so the vineyard sits like a horseshoe, if you will, around the top of a little mountain up there. That's where we are on the top. And so we have an east side, south side, west, and so on. And each area produces by block. They're all the same clones spread around, but each side is affected by the weather slightly differently.
Absolutely. Got beautiful color. It's lipid, you know.
So just add,
really sort of pretty, there's kind of an earthy Pinot Noir character that makes it really fascinating.
Thank you. This is considered, the limited release reserve is considered by many to be one of the most Burgundian productions that we do. And the reason we have a limited release reserve and we have a femme fatale, which is on your board tonight as well.
Thank you for that.
Well, every year the harvest is made for the whole vineyard. It goes to barrel. Barrels are set aside as to where they came from, what's inside of them. It stays there for about 2 years, and then at bottling, we taste every barrel for its characteristics. And about 70% becomes femme fatale, and it has a younger, a little more fruit-forward flavor. It's a little different price point, and it doesn't require 3 or 4 years of bottle aging. And then the other becomes the limited release reserve. And
that's a very lovely Pinot Noir. Pinot Noir has become a very important part of what Sonoma County does. Petaluma Gap being is like the perfect place for it because that's what Pinot Noir likes. And finally, we have a Clouds Rest 2008 Cabernet Sauvignon, and you call this egoist, not
egoist,
not egotist.
No, very much a difference. It is egoist,
yes.
And egoist is not an egotist.
Yeah.
So I fell in love with this wine and wanted. This is a 1 acre vineyard that was in the Fountain Grove district.
Wow.
1 acre of a red volcanic site. Red crust rock as far down as you could possibly go, maybe 30 feet, 40 feet. We never went that far.
Thomas Lake and Nakagawa, those guys, they discovered this place for growing Cabernet early in California.
Yes.
This is a great site.
This has happened to be a 1 acre site. Now, most people don't bother to ever go deal with a 1 acre anything. But when I tasted the wine from that vineyard, I just fell in love with it. And so the name came to me as, who is this personality in here? And we often refer to wines in the feminine, but this wine was definitely a masculine wine, but it was not a brute force Cabernet. This was something that had elegance and style and layers and sensitivity. This might have been, when I went to Italy and I sat under the statue of David for 5 hours trying to figure out how he made that out of 1 piece of rock and make it come to life. All I could think of was egoist. Strong, caring, loving personality.
So the wine itself has got really pretty spicy notes associated with it. It doesn't really have any green herbal characters. It's got some nice, black berry, black cherry fruit. It also has really good acidity. I mean, like it's just as mouth-watering, and it finishes very nicely. There's enough tannin to keep it fresh, but not so much to be aggressive. So lovely job with this wine shop. Nice job with Clouds Rest.
One of the things that I'll finish with is that balance in our wines is critical. So every year, all the year, Tony and Scott, my partner, and myself, we do nothing but hover over these over and over again to see that we're on track all the time. And this is the quality we've been producing for next year will be 20 years since I started the vineyard. Wow. So we've never had a bad vintage, and we only sell to customers direct. We're not in stores and in places. It's only direct to consumer.
Nice job. You keep producing wines like this, you'll be around for at least another 20 years, or maybe more than that. It's been great talking to you, John. It's my pleasure.
Cheers.
Cheers to you, and here's to great wine.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Here's to great wine, and here's to a great conversation.